Morning, morning, morning. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And welcome to another live show. I got quite a few things lined up for you today. Don't know if you watched the games yesterday, but Spurs and Palace. That's the first thing I'm going to discuss going into it. Then I'm going to talk about the news that Ben Jacobs said, where we're interested in 3 managers on a shortlist. That'll be fun to discuss. I'll talk about the latest transfer news with Diamonde, and go into the set piece stuff, because I've got a list. I researched a list yesterday of who scored the most goals from set pieces and who scored the least. No surprise who's on top, but there are a few surprises, and I didn't even realize until I actually sat there looking into it yesterday. Damn, I don't think Well, so put it this way. I think you'll be surprised about who's what on that list. But let's get into the first thing, and that'll be Tottenham and Palace. It didn't look good for Tottenham at all. They lost 3-1. They went down to 10 men when Van Ven was sent off. They did get the first goal. And then at the end of the half, in the space of 12 minutes, Palace scored 3 goals. And the Tottenham supporters started leaving the stadium, and the stadium was pretty much empty for the second half. And it's mad, because if you had told me this at the start of the season, I would have thought with some of the signings that they made, they would have improved a lot. I probably would have been up there, probably mid-table. I didn't expect them to be this low. I didn't expect them to be fighting for relegation, especially with West Ham winning, Forest drawing. And I know West Ham have Man City. I suppose it's a blessing for Tottenham, because they have Man City in the next game. And, the chances are Man City would probably beat West Ham, so they'll probably survive for a bit longer, but they're in a dangerous spot. They really are. I'm going to head over to the table now so I can get into it a bit more. So let's get to show you that screen. There it is there. That's the league table. And after yesterday's results, Palace have moved up a spot into 13th, above Brighton, Leeds. Didn't even think Brighton was that low either. But Spurs, 29 points. And if you look here, they've lost 5 games in a row. And I don't think Igor Tudor's the one. No, he is not the one. And especially what he said, I would say after the press conference, because, I mean, saying that, that the chances are that you're going to stay up after losing 5 in a row is shocking to me. Absolutely shocking. I mean, come on. You're the worst team in the league at the moment, and you literally are the worst team. Even Wolves are playing better than you. 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss for Wolves. Even they're playing better than you. I mean, you got Burnley with 1 win, 1 draw, and 3 losses. I suppose that's a poor record, but even got West Ham going 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. And the team that's above them, 2 draws and 3 losses. And I suppose it's going to be, I think West Ham will probably stay up, chances are. For me personally, I think West Ham will probably stay up with the run of forms they're in. I wouldn't say it's the best form, but they've got more chance, I feel, of staying up after the Man City game next week. Or the week after, shall I say. And Tottenham are in real big doo-doo. -7 goal difference. Conceded 46 goals in the league. Scored 39. They're not even hitting. They've got less goals than we had last season. And I suppose I expect them to get more than 44, which is what we ended with last season. But to be in 16th, considering you finished 17th last year, man, I did see this, though. I did see this. And oops-a-daisy. There you go. There's already strong talk that if he doesn't get the results against Crystal Palace, they might rethink their decision during the international break in a couple of weeks, which is incredible and just shows the strife that Tottenham are in. And they're in real big duty, especially when they're thinking about getting rid of Igor Tudor already. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. But I don't really see him staying up. Van Ven got sent off. That was a clear sending off. You can't really argue it. Really pull him down. And that's the last thing that Tottenham needed, really. I've seen some of the stuff online. Seen some of the fans on like Talksport when I was tuning into Talksport. Some of the fans on Sky. I mean, I've seen some of the fan channels as well, and they're all just really feel the same as I feel that they're going down. And I do have a question now because they always class them as the Big Six team, and I wouldn't really class them as a Big Six team no more. Haven't for a while. They're not even in the top six. In fact, I think Villa deserve to be one of the Big Six teams by now. The top six at the moment should pretty much be the top six teams. So I want to ask some of these fan channels as well. What would happen to the Spurs fans that are on your channels if Spurs go down? You can't have a channel talking about Big Six when a team's in the championship, can you? Are you going to replace them with like a Villa supporter, maybe? A Villa fan to discuss Villa stuff? And boot the Tottenham fans off? Oh no, I shouldn't laugh. I'm laughing at the misery. I just think it's absolutely hilarious that they're in that position at the moment, and it's just absolutely crazy. I want to know if I can click on Tottenham and see who they got coming up. 16th. Yep, upcoming. There it is. So I'm going to take you back to this screen now, and you can see the upcoming fixtures. So they've got Liverpool on the 15th, which will be a tough game, especially when both teams need to win that, especially when it comes to Champions League spots. Liverpool need to get into the championship. Then you got Nottingham Forest. So I think that game would probably, I think 22nd of March will probably be the game that cements what happens, I suppose. And especially the game on the 25th of April against Wolves. I think them two games will cement what happens going forward. They have got Brighton, who are down the bottom as well. But I think some of these games are winnable, especially the one against Wolves and Forest. So they might get a chance to stay up. But if they lose against Forest or even draw against Forest, lose or draw against Wolves, I mean, I don't really see them beating Liverpool. I don't really see them beating Sunderland. I don't even see them beating Brighton, to be fair. The form that they're in. So it looks like they're in a deep doo-doo spot at the moment. And that is madness. But I'm going to move on to something Ben Jacob said. And Ben Jacob mentioned that Man United are considering Nagelsmann, Roberto Martinez, and Roberto Zerbi as Man United managers come the summer. I did look into some of these managers. I did think I would probably, discuss them at some point. So I'm going to get into Nagelsmann first because he's currently the German coach. He has previously managed Hoffenheim, Leipzig, Bayern Munich. I knew about Bayern Munich and the German team. I wasn't sure about his record before that, so I did do a bit of research on it yesterday because it does take a lot goes into doing this 30-minute show, believe it or not. And he previously managed Hoffenheim, Leipzig, and Bayern Munich. In February 2016, he took over Hoffenheim, who was 17th in the table, 7 points from safety, and they finished 15th. They just about avoided it because they won 7 of the remaining 14 games. And then following season, they finished 4th, while he finished 4th with them and qualified for the UEFA Champions League for the first time in their history. The following season, they finished 3rd, which was the best overall finish. And then he moved on to RB Leipzig, where they finished top of the group in the Champions League and made it into the knockout phase for the first time in their history. And he's the youngest coach in history to win a knockout tie in the Champions League also. So, yeah, really good record. And then RB Leipzig obviously finished 2nd in the Bundesliga. And then when he moved on to Bayern Munich, he won the 2 Super Cups, the one in 21 and 22. And he won his first league title as well and finished with a 71.4% win percentage. The thing I like about him is he's a talented coach. He's a really talented coach, and he can come in. I don't know whether, out of all the ones that are on the list right there, I think he's my favorite, but not including Carrick, obviously. But I think Nagelsmann's my favorite. And I wouldn't mind him getting a job, especially what he's done with the previous teams, getting Hoffenheim into the top half of the table, winning, getting RB Leipzig into second place, the highest ever finish, qualifying for the Champions League, stuff like that. It's he's a really good coach, but then he also got Martinez on the shortlist as well. And I've never really been a fan of Roberto Martinez. I know there's a lot of people that have been fans, and he managed Swansea, he managed Wigan in the Premier League. I think, if I recall, he won, I've got it written down here, Brighton qualified for the Europa League for the first time in their history and finished 7th. That was in the 23-24 season. And then, no, sorry, that's Roberto Zerbi. Wrong one. So with Martinez in charge, Swansea lost just 1 in 11 games, giving him a chance to clinch a playoff spot. And then he went to Wigan, where he got 1 point, lost in 8 games in a row in the Premier League. And then he won the FA Cup with them in 2012. But there's not really much I know about him other than his time in the Premier League. And I've never really been a fan of him. I don't really think he's going to be suitable for United or United's way. So for me, he's not really, judging by his stats and his record, he's not really somebody that I'd want near the team. And that's my personal opinion on that. Then you've got Roberto De Zerbi. This one. So you got Roberto De Zerbi as well. Managed Brighton, most recently Marseille. Brighton qualified for Europa League for the first time in the history, and they finished 7th. He joined Marseille and got them to 2nd place in the league. He's not really a bad coach personally. But I don't think he's, for me, nope. If I wanted anybody, it would be Nagelsmann or Carrick. I haven't really fully decided on yet, but it'll be Nagelsmann. That'll be my choice. But I don't know how he's gonna get things done, because it seems like the United job at the moment is a curse, and it seems like whoever we get in, it ain't really gonna pan out that way, regardless of it. So it's gonna be a really tough decision at the end of the season. And when it comes to the end of the season, I suppose they can sit down and they can decide. And I think Vivells must know about being at RB Leipzig. He must know about when Nagelsmann was in charge. So there is that. So I'm not sure whether you heard about United's new recruit. It's this guy here, Ian Broomfield, sorry. Blech. Make mistakes. He's Tottenham ex-scout. And I'm going to get into a bit about him right now. So I'm going to share my screen, because there's a few things on the screen that I want to discuss quickly. And there it is there. So Man United, mate, I've hired Ian Broomfield as casual scouting, covering under 21 market. Broomfield gained an excellent reputation for spotting talent after more than 30 years doing so. Has brought in to help United target players emerging at first team level. Aidan Heaven, brilliant player who joined United from Arsenal, age 18, for 1.5 million in February 2025. An example of the type of player Broomfield is expected to recruit. Now, I think he's been brought in because, like when Brighton and Palace and all these other teams always go out and find these hidden gems from somewhere, and they come from somewhere, and then they'll play them and they will sign it off them for extortionate prices. I think Broomfield's come in to find that next player with potential, the one that can come into the team straight away, the next Baleba, the next Diamonde, the next Ahmad, the next Aidan Heaven, them type of players. I think he's come in to find that, which is good, because that is something we need. Why would we let other teams sign certain players when we can find these gems ourselves and sign them? Like JJ Gabriel, for example, absolutely outstanding player. And he's got a lot of potential when he grows up and makes the first team. But, it might work out nicely for us. I'm hoping it does. And I'm hoping we can find some hidden gems from somewhere and bring them in, because we really need to find them hidden gems from somewhere and bring them in. But I think Ian Broomfield will do a good job. He's 70 years old. He's just, 75. And is most recently employed by Tottenham as head of scouting before losing his job in 2024 in a reshuffle. And he was previously chief scout under Harry Redknapp. His extensive career in the game has also seen him lead recruitment at Leeds and Aston Villa under David O'Leary. So yeah, hopefully that's a good recruit, and hopefully we can bring in some hidden gems that not many of us have noticed for a good, reasonable price, cheap price, and then they can explode onto the main roster, the main team, and make the first team, and Bob's your uncle, and then other players can actually come in and buy players off us for extortionate prices for once, because we don't really tend to sell players at extortionate prices. We buy them, and then that's it. When players come in, they want to, sorry, my phone just went off, had to put it on silent. But yeah, hopefully that'll be a good recruit. But I did want to speak to you about the new rule changes. I don't know if you heard about the new rule changes, because this show was about United before, but now it's just basically United and everything else. So I don't know if you heard about these new rule changes in the EFL. So the championship clubs have voted to expand the playoffs to 6 teams rather than 4 from next season. The new system sees teams finish 3rd to 8th who will compete for promotion in the Premier League. There'll be a 1-legged quarter-final for teams finishing 5th to 8th. So it's probably going to be 5th versus 8th, 6th versus 7th for one game. And whoever wins that will move on to the team that finished 3rd and 4th over 2 legs. Winners facing, So winners facing. So it's a bit like the NFL, where if you finish top of your, wouldn't say conference division, conference, top of the conference, you make it automatically. You get a bye week, you get a week to rest, and then the playoffs start, where teams will play teams, and the teams that are resting will play the championship game or the divisional, championship game, and get to the Super Bowl. So I think they're doing it that way, because I've heard about some rules where they're bringing in where they have to stop for 3 minutes during each half just to get a drink, and they could play adverts, and that's what the NFL do. And I think it's leaning more towards that NFL type thing. I don't know whether that's good for the game or bad for the game, but I like this rule. I feel like this rule is good for the game. I really do. So let's see what happens when it's implemented into next season, and see how it gets on. But I really think it's a good idea. It gives more teams a chance to go up, gives more teams a chance to get into the Premier League, and hopefully there'll be a bit more of a fight. However, I do think that Birmingham City will be consistent by finishing 9th and 12th and missing out every season. So I mean, a lot of my Blues friends may not like me saying that, but that's basically what I think. So you can't really knock me for thinking something like that, judging by the previous record. I mean, he got happy winning the League One, but Championship's a different ball game. So yeah, that's some of the new rules, and I think there's gonna be a lot of new rules coming in, especially with the VAR, especially with the ones already discussed on the Wednesday and the Thursday. So if you do want to go back and listen to them videos, feel free to. They're on my YouTube channel. I won't go over it again, but there's going to be a lot of rules changing. There's going to be, for example, if a goalkeeper takes longer than I think it's 10 seconds, taking a goal kick, it'll automatically be a corner to the opposing team. If a throw if it takes too long on the throw, it'll automatically be handed over to the opposite team. If somebody goes down and fakes an injury to waste time, they'll be taken off the pitch, and they have to stay off the pitch. I think that still happens, but I think they're going to try and get them off the pitch as soon as they can. If you're making a corner and you want to waste time on a corner, not corner. If you're making a sub and you want to waste time on a sub, the player will have to go off the pitch if it's longer than 10 seconds and the player can't come on. So you'll be playing with one man down until the ball goes out of play again for the substitution to be made. So those are some of the new rules. I mean, there's a new offside rule as well, where if you're just in front of the defender, but your body is not fully in front of the defender, it won't be offside. But if you're fully in front of the defender, it will be. So they're changing a lot of the rules next year. They're bringing them in. But this is one of the rules for the EFL, which I actually agree with. I'm going to move on to some transfer talk. And this one is about Jan Diamonde. Now. I know there's several teams interested in him. There's Liverpool. I've heard rumors about Man City, but they've got enough left wingers and right wingers. I don't know why they want more wingers, but I know the main one would be Liverpool, Man City, and I think Spurs were named, but I don't think Spurs will get him, especially where they are at the moment. And I know United fans want him a lot. The problem I've got with that is he's come out in interviews to say that his father was a Liverpool fan and he wouldn't mind joining a Liverpool because that was his father's team growing up. So if Liverpool are actually going to go win for him, I don't think United will get him. That's my take on that. But I'm going to take it to a website and go over it a bit more detail. So Fabrizio Romano reveals Man United ramping up sublime €100 million signing to kickstart triple deal. So Man United are stepping up in pursuit of RB Leipzig star Jan Diamonde, with Fabrizio Romano providing the latest amid a heated battle with rivals Liverpool. That's what I was saying. You know, Liverpool have got a better chance of getting him than us. Diamonde has burst onto the scene as one of the Bundesliga's best young forwards. The winger, who is right-footed but can play on either flank, has notched 10 goals and 7 assists in 26 matches. So 17 GAs in 26 matches this season. This includes an outstanding hat-trick as Leipzig thrashed Frankfurt 6-0 in December. And he's only 19 years old, so he's emerging as one of the greatest talents, and that's not something I'm going to deny because he is a really great talent. So, yeah, personally, if Liverpool do go in for him, I don't think we'll get him. I know it's horrible, but he has mentioned that, you know, his father was a Liverpool fan. So I think how it works, if suppose it's like my kids, I'm a United fan, so my kids are United fans. So if an opportunity came up where they had to choose between Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, they're going to always choose Man United because that's a team I grew up supporting and that's the team they have grown up supporting, regardless of whether the mum's a Birmingham City fan. But, you know, it does make sense, I suppose. So I don't really think we're going to get him. I wouldn't really get our hopes up too much, but it's just the way it is, really. Okay, so I'm going to move on to some comments that I've seen from Fabian Hörsler and Mikel Arteta before I move on to this set piece stuff. I've got, 7 minutes, I think, of the show left. So Hörsler made comments about Arsenal, about time wasting is ruining football. They waste a lot of time. They're basically all the set pieces, and football isn't football anymore. Mikel Arteta turned around and said that doesn't matter how we win. Give me more set pieces. He doesn't really care. He wants to win, and I understand it from that point of view. I mean, Arsenal have scored 59 goals with 22 from set pieces, which is at 37. 22 from set pieces, which is 37.29% of the goals have come from set pieces. But they're not the only team. And I was, that's the reason I looked into it. Just based off them comments was the reason I decided, I'm going to look into this because what is going on with the set pieces? Because I personally think, the set piece is not really the time wasting. I personally think that time wasting is ruining football and has done for a while. And I suppose as a manager, I'm going to win games by any means necessary, whether that is set pieces, whether that's wasting time when we're 1-0 up in the last 10 minutes. And just stuff like that. So I agree with what Mikel Arteta is saying. You win game by any means necessary. I mean, even if, for example, if we had beaten Newcastle the other day, we didn't. We lost 2-1. But if we had beaten Newcastle today and performed absolutely poorly, a win is a win. I'd have taken that. I really would have taken that. And Hörsler, I suppose, was a bit upset because Brighton did lose against Arsenal. But I do agree with Mikel Arteta. I know I should be saying this, but I do agree with Mikel Arteta by a win is a win by any means necessary. But that made me want to go over the set piece stuff. So I'm gonna show you the screen, and show you the website, and go over all this set piece, because it surprised me, because I thought Arsenal were way ahead of everybody. Believe it or not, they're only 3 goals ahead of the team that are in second place. But you know Arsenal are going to be on top of this list. So after years of football, teams around the world trying to tick-a-tack of the way to success after glory enjoyed by Pep Guardiola's iconic Barcelona side, now seems set pieces and long throws are back in vogue, and not more so than this season. I'm a little okay, forget about that one. Bottom with the least set pieces is Wolves, which don't really shock me because they're bottom of the table anyway. So they've got 7 set pieces all season. I'm going to go over the bottom 3. Nottingham Forest have 8 set pieces all season, and Burnley have 9. And these are the teams that are pretty much bottom of the table, or towards the bottom of the table, because you got 9, 8, and 7, and them teams are in the relegation battle. But what did shock me was seeing this. Man City have only scored 9 goals from set pieces this season in the Premier League. 9 goals from set pieces this season in the Premier League. Now, that shocked me because I would have thought it was a lot higher. So, most of their goals have pretty much come from open play. You got Sunderland at 16th with 10 from set pieces. Brighton at 15 with 10. And then you got Everton with 10 as well at 14. And then West Ham at 13. But Villa scored 11 from set pieces. You got Fulham scoring 12. You got Liverpool, who are all the way down to 10th with 13 goals from set pieces all season. A lot of them are from Dominic Szoboszlai, I suppose, because he gets a lot of the free kicks. He scored quite a few free kicks for him, I think, if I recall from the top of my head. So, yeah. 13 from goals from set pieces. I'm coming up to... And this is the top 10 now, so they're in 10th. Spurs have scored 13 from set pieces, but it doesn't really matter with them because they're just not doing much else. Brentford, 14 from set pieces. Crystal Palace, 15 from set pieces. And then Man United, 16 from set pieces. We were right down to, if I recall, we were right towards the top about 15 games ago. I think we had the most goals from set pieces back then, or second most. But we've seemed to have slipped then, because a lot of our goals have seemed to be coming from open play. Although we did get a free kick against Newcastle and scored that. But I'll take that. Now we're coming up to the top 5. Now this top 5 will shock you, because at 5 you got Bournemouth. 16 goals for Bournemouth from set pieces. 16 bloody goals. You got Leeds, 17 goals from set pieces, although they're struggling towards the bottom of the table, but you got 17 goals from set pieces. Chelsea were 3rd with 19 goals from set pieces. Newcastle, who beat us, are 19th. Sorry, 2nd with 19 goals from set pieces. I think, and the best team that scored from set pieces is Arsenal with 22. So they're 3 ahead of Newcastle. So it tells you right there, 19 from corners, 3 from penalties, equals 22. You got Newcastle, 14 from corners and 5 from penalties. So it's all right there. If you go to Man United now, you can call it joint 5th, but 13 from corners, 3 from penalties. I don't think they've included, corners, free kicks and throw-ins. But yeah, that's where it is with that. So Arsenal are way ahead of most teams when it comes to, well, not way ahead, by 3 goals, I suppose, when it comes to set pieces. But that's the end of this show, guys. Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. I think there's some. Oh, can't get it right. There. Yeah. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.